The fluorescent lights in the interrogation room hummed like dying wasps. Lieutenant Sarah Chen sat perfectly still in the metal chair, her hands resting flat on the steel table. Blood had dried in dark streaks along her forearms. Her Army combat uniform in operational camouflage pattern was torn at the shoulder, revealing a field dressing, stained rust red. Her blonde hair, normally pulled back in a regulation bun, hung loose around her face. Strands stuck to her cheek where sweat had dried. But her eyes, those pale blue eyes that could read wind at 1,000 yards, remained steady. Empty. The kind of empty that comes after you've seen something you can't unsee. The digital clock on the wall read 3:17 a.m., Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of the 82nd Airborne, home of Delta Force, home of warriors who'd bled on every continent where America planted its flag, and right now home to a woman who'd just come back from a mission that didn't exist. The door opened with a metallic click that echoed off the cinder block walls. General William Chen entered like a force of nature compressed into a 65-year-old frame. 4 stars gleamed on his shoulders, but he'd thrown the uniform jacket over civilian clothes jeans and a flannel shirt like a man pulled from sleep by the worst possible news. His silver hair stood at odd angles. His face, weathered by 3 decades of command, showed every one of those years in this moment. He stopped 3 feet from the table, stared at his daughter. "Who hurt you, Sarah?" His voice cracked on her name. Not Lieutenant, not Chen. Sarah. She looked up at him, held his gaze for 5 seconds that felt like 5 years. "Colonel James Mitchell," she said, "your best friend from Mogadishu." The general's face went white, then red, then something beyond color, a landscape of emotion that men like William Chen spent lifetimes learning to hide. He pulled out the chair across from her, sat down slowly like his knees had forgotten how. "Tell me," he said, "everything." 72 hours earlier, the elk moved through the aspens like a ghost wearing meat. 600 pounds of muscle and instinct following a trail older than the Montana Territory itself. Dawn light filtered through golden leaves, turning the forest into a cathedral of copper and shadow. Sarah watched it through her scope. She lay prone on a granite outcropping, 1,200 yards from where the bull elk paused to test the wind. Her Remington 700 rested on a bipod, the walnut stock warm against her cheek. This rifle had belonged to her grandfather, then her father, now her. 3 generations of Chen blood had pulled this trigger. The wind brushed across her face. 7 miles per hour, quartering left. She'd been tracking it for 40 minutes, watching the aspens bend and recover, reading the air like a language she'd learned before she could read English. Temperature 68 degrees Fahrenheit, humidity 52%, barometric pressure 29.92 and rising. She ran the calculations in her head. Not conscious math muscle memory translated into ballistics. At this distance, the bullet would drop nearly 40 inches. The wind would push it 18 inches right. She needed to compensate for both. Elevation 11.5 minutes of angle up, windage 2.3 minutes left. She dialed the adjustments into her scope with clicks so quiet they couldn't spook a sparrow. The elk stopped broadside, perfect presentation. Its head turned toward the valley, majestic and unaware. Sarah's breathing slowed, in through the nose, filling her diaphragm, out through slightly parted lips. Her heart rate dropped. 72 beats per minute, 68, 64, 60. In the pause between heartbeats, the whole world went still. Her finger found the trigger. 3.5 pounds of pressure. Smooth, steady, no jerk. No anticipation. The Remington spoke once, a flat crack that rolled across the valley and died in the distance. 1,200 yards away, the elk's front legs buckled. It dropped without a sound, dead before it hit the ground. Perfect lung shot. "That's a 1 in 1,000 shot, Sarah." She didn't startle. She'd known her father was there. You don't spend 27 years around a man like William Chen without learning to feel his presence like a change in air pressure. He stood 20 feet behind her, spotting scope to his eye, watching where the elk lay motionless in the aspens. "You taught me to make 1 in 1,000 shots, Dad." She worked the bolt, ejecting the spent brass, caught it in midair. Old habit. Waste nothing. Leave no trace. William lowered the scope, studied his daughter the way he'd once studied terrain maps before sending men into harm's way. She'd changed in the 3 months since he'd seen her last. Leaner, harder. The softness that civilian life preserved had been stripped away again, revealing the warrior underneath. Her hands showed calluses from rifle work and rope climbs. A new scar traced her jawline, training accident probably. She hadn't mentioned it in their phone calls, but her eyes hadn't changed. Still that calm, calculating blue, like winter ice over deep water. "Delta selection treating you right," he asked. I passed. 2 words. Matter of fact, like she'd passed a driver's test instead of becoming one of the first 2 women in history to complete the most grueling special operations selection course in the American military. Pride swelled in William's chest. He crushed it down. Pride was a luxury. Pride got people killed. Your mother would have had something to say about that. She'd have told me I was crazy. Sarah stood slinging the Remington across her back. Then she'd have helped me pack. They walked down from the outcropping in comfortable silence. The Chen Ranch spread out below them, 50 acres of Montana high country that had been in the family since 1947. The main house, built from ponderosa pine and riverstone, sat at the valley's heart. Smoke rose from the chimney. Beyond it, the barn and stables. Beyond that, the shooting range where William had taught Sarah to shoot when she was 12 years old and trying to understand why her mother's funeral had been closed casket. Breast cancer. Stage 4. 6 months from diagnosis to dirt. Sarah had been 17. She joined the Army at 18, West Point at 19, Rangers at 23, Intelligence at 24, 3 tours in Afghanistan, and now at 27 Delta Force. Running away, some people said. Running toward, others argued. William knew the truth. She was running parallel to something, chasing a shadow of the man he used to be, trying to understand him by walking the same path. It broke his heart a little more every day. That evening, they sat by the fire pit behind the house. Stars emerged overhead like holes punched in black canvas. The Milky Way sprawled across the sky in a way it never did near cities. Out here, darkness meant something. Silence meant something. William poked the fire with a stick, sending sparks spiraling upward. You remember what I told you about Coriolis effect? He asked. Sarah sipped her coffee. Rotation of the earth affects bullet trajectory at extreme range. At 2,000 yards, how much correction? Depends on direction of fire. Shooting east, the bullet impacts higher. West, lower. North, in the northern hemisphere, bullet drifts right. She recited the formula from memory. Horizontal component equals cosine of latitude times range divided by 220 multiplied by time of flight. William smiled. When did you learn that? When I was 14. You left your field manual on the kitchen table. Did I? Dad, you don't leave anything anywhere by accident. He laughed, a short bark that might have been approval or might have been something sadder. They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled. A nighthawk called in the distance. You planning to stay Delta? William asked. Why wouldn't I? Because it's a young person's game. He paused. And because I want you to have something I never did. A life outside the uniform. Sarah set down her coffee. You had Mom for 12 years. Then the cancer took her, and I had nothing but the uniform. William looked at the fire. That's not a life, Sarah. That's a delay of death. You had me. He looked at her then. Really looked at her. Saw the girl who used to braid her mother's hair while Sarah Ashford Chen read bedtime stories. Saw the teenager who'd stood stone-faced at the funeral while he fell apart inside. Saw the woman who'd become a warrior because she didn't know how else to honor the people she'd loved and lost. I had you, he agreed quietly. And I pushed you away because I didn't know how to be a father without your mother showing me how. You taught me to shoot. That's not the same thing. It was enough. Silence again, heavier this time. Colonel Mitchell called this morning, William said, changing the subject like a man stepping around a landmine. Sends his regards. Sarah's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind her eyes. How's the colonel? Still at Bragg, still running operations nobody talks about. Still the same James, half genius, half madman. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. He saved my life in Mogadishu, back in '93. Did I ever tell you that story? Bits and pieces. We were pinned down. Bad intel, bad luck, bad everything. Somali militia had us surrounded. I took shrapnel to the leg. Couldn't walk, couldn't run. He stared into the fire. Mitchell carried me 2 miles through hostile streets while bullets turned the walls into confetti. William paused. Best operator I ever served with. Better than me. Should have made general instead of me. Why didn't he? Because he couldn't play the politics, couldn't smile for the cameras, couldn't lie when lying was required. Another pause. Mitchell believes in 3 things: the mission, the team, and killing bad guys. Everything else is noise. Sounds like a good man to have on your side. The best, or the worst, depending. On what? On whether his definition of bad guys matches yours. Before Sarah could ask what that meant, headlights swept across the valley. A black Chevy Suburban climbed the access road, moving fast. too fast for a casual visit. It skidded to a stop in front of the house, throwing gravel. William stood. His hand went to his hip, old instinct reaching for a sidearm that wasn't there. The Suburban's door opened. Colonel James Mitchell stepped out, 60 years old, 6 feet tall, built like a man who'd spent 40 years doing things civilians couldn't imagine and didn't want to know about. Silver hair cut high and tight, face like carved granite, all hard angles and old scars. Eyes the color of winter fog. He wore civilian clothes, jeans, boots, canvas jacket, but moved with military precision. Economy of motion. No wasted energy. "William," he said, nodding to the general. "James." William didn't sound surprised. Men like Mitchell didn't make social calls. Mitchell's eyes shifted to Sarah. Something changed in his expression. Softened, maybe, like looking at a memory instead of a person. "Little Sarah Chen," he said. "Not so little anymore," she stood. "Colonel Mitchell. Heard you passed selection. Hell of an achievement." "Thank you, sir." "Don't sir me, kid. I work for a living." Old joke. He smiled, but it didn't last. "I need to talk to both of you. Inside. Now." They sat at the kitchen table. William made coffee. Nobody drank it. Mitchell pulled a tablet from his jacket, set it on the table, tapped the screen. A photograph appeared. A woman, mid-30s, short blonde hairs, hard eyes. Military bearing obvious even in civilian clothes. "Sergeant Maya Rivers," Mitchell said. "Ring any bells, Sarah?" Sarah's breath caught. Just slightly. Just enough. "She was my hand-to-hand combat instructor at Delta pre-selection. Best close quarters fighter I've ever seen." "She was more than that." Mitchell swiped to another photo. Maya in ACUs standing with a Delta team somewhere sandy and hostile. 3 tours Afghanistan, 2 Iraq, fluent in Arabic and Pashto, worked undercover in Kandahar for 18 months. "Saved more lives than I can count." He swiped again. A death certificate appeared on screen. Rivers Maya M. Sergeant, KIA, Afghanistan, September 2023. "Maya was killed 18 months ago," Mitchell said. "Taliban ambush outside Kabul. We recovered her body. We buried her at Arlington with full honors. Case closed." He swiped once more. A grainy surveillance photo. A woman in a hijab, face partially visible. Same hard eyes, same angular jaw. Maya Rivers, alive. "This was taken 4 days ago," Mitchell continued. "Syria. A CIA asset spotted her in a marketplace in Al-Hasaka. Ran facial recognition. 94% match." Sarah stared at the photo. Her mentor, her instructor. The woman who'd taught her that speed and violence of action could overcome size and strength. The woman who'd told her, "You're good enough, kid. Don't let anyone tell you different." Dead, except not dead. How, Sarah asked. Taliban faked her death for propaganda purposes. Made it look like they'd killed a female American commando. Good optics for recruitment. Mitchell's voice went flat. Dangerous. But intel suggests they sold her to a different group. Moved her to Syria. We don't know why. We don't know what they want with her. But she's alive, and she's there. William leaned back in his chair. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because I'm going to get her back." Mitchell looked at Sarah. "And I need your daughter to help me do it." Silence crashed down like a blade. "No," William said immediately. "Absolutely not. She just finished selection, James. She's not ready for—" "I don't care if she's ready. I care that this is off book. This is black. This is you going rogue again. And I won't let you pull my daughter into whatever vendetta you're running." Mitchell's eyes never left Sarah. "Maya would do it for her." "Maya's dead according to official records," William snapped. "Let her stay dead." "She trained Sarah, mentored her. Probably saved her life a dozen times during a selection." Mitchell finally looked at William. "You know what Maya means to operators. She's a legend, and legends don't get left behind. This isn't about legends, this is about my daughter." "Your daughter is Delta now." Mitchell's voice went quiet. Hard. "That means she understands what we owe the people who bleed with us." Sarah hadn't spoken. She stared at Maya's photo, remembered her voice. Pain is temporary. Quitting lasts forever. Remembered her hands correcting Sarah's stance, her grip, her footwork. Remembered the day Sarah had finally beaten her in a sparring match, and Maya had smiled like a proud older sister. "What's the op?" Sarah asked. "Sarah," her father started. "What's the op?" Colonel Mitchell pulled up a map. "Syria, a town marked in red near the Turkish border. 4-person team, halo insertion, 40-mile approach, hit the compound at 0200, extract Maya, exfil via Turkey, 72 hours from jump to recovery." Who's on the team? Three operators I've worked with for 20 years. Combat proven, reliable. He paused. And you? Why me? I need a sniper. That's one. I can trust that's two. Maya trained you. She'll respond to you. And frankly, Sarah, you're the best pure marksman I've seen since your father hung up his rifle. William stood abruptly. Outside, now! The two men walked out into the darkness. Through the window, Sarah watched them argue. Couldn't hear the words. Didn't need to. She knew what her father was saying. Too dangerous. Too soon. Too much. And she knew what Mitchell was saying. She's ready. She's capable. She's necessary. Both men were right. Both men were wrong. She looked at Maya's photo again, at those hard eyes that had seen too much but never looked away. You're good enough, kid. 20 minutes later, the men came back inside. Her father's face had gone from angry to resigned to something that looked like grief. 72 hours, he said to Sarah. You're back here in 72 hours, or I burn down half of Syria looking for you. Mitchell nodded. Fair. William turned to him. And James, if anything happens to her. I know. They looked at each other. 30 years of friendship. 30 years of shared blood and buried secrets. 30 years of trust that was about to be tested in a way neither man wanted to acknowledge. When do we leave? Sarah asked. Tomorrow. 0600, Mitchell said. Wear comfortable shoes. The flight from Montana to West Virginia took 6 hours. Private military contractor jet. No markings, no passenger manifest. No questions asked. Mitchell slept the whole way. Sarah tried to, couldn't. She kept seeing Maya's face, kept hearing her voice echo in memory. The plane landed at a private airstrip outside a town too small to have a name. A Humvee waited on the tarmac. They drove for 40 minutes through Appalachian forest, deeper and deeper into terrain that looked forgotten by cartographers. Finally, a compound. High fences, armed guards who waved them through without speaking. Buildings that had probably been a mining operation once and now served purposes nobody discussed. Mitchell led her into a briefing room. 3 men waited inside. Sarah Chen, meet your team. The first man stood, 44 years old, weathered face, salt and pepper beard, eyes that had seen things and decided not to blink. Dalton Hayes, call me Hawk, force recon, then contracting now, whatever James needs me to be. His handshake was dry, calloused, firm. Heard you can shoot. I do all right. We'll see. The second man didn't stand, just nodded from his chair. 35, thick build, scarred knuckles, face like a fist. Nash Carter, demo and breaching. I blow things up and I don't like small talk. Fair enough, Sarah said. The third man practically bounced to his feet. 26, eager smile, medic bag already packed and ready by his chair. Cooper Wells, combat medic, also comms, also whatever else you need. Also really excited to work with you because, I mean, you're kind of a legend after passing selection and, Cooper Hawk said quietly. Right, shutting up. Mitchell pulled up a digital map on the wall screen. Syria appeared in high resolution. He zoomed in on a compound near Al-Hasaka. Target location, abandoned factory complex. Intel says 12 to 20 hostiles. Automatic weapons, possibly RPGs. Maya's being held in the main building, second floor northwest corner room. Intel confidence, Hawk asked. 70%. So we're going in half blind. We're going in with what we have. Nash spat into a cup. Story of my life. Mitchell continued. Halo jump here. He marked a spot 40 miles northeast. Land, link up, move on foot. 2 days to target. Hit at 0200 local. Extract Maya. Move to exfil point here. Another mark near the Turkish border. Helicopter pickup. Questions. Rules of engagement, Sarah asked. Hostile is anyone with a weapon who gets between you and Maya. Avoid civilian casualties. Avoid international incidents. Avoid getting killed. What about capture, Hawk said. Mitchell's expression went cold. If we get grabbed, I can't help you. This op doesn't exist. You don't exist. Clear. Everyone nodded. Good. You've got 48 hours to train and prep. Use them. The next 2 days blurred into controlled chaos. Weapons qual, comms check, jump training, medical drills, rehearsals of the raid from a dozen angles, and shooting. The range was cut into a hillside. Targets from 100 to 2,000 yards. Wind flags every 100 meters. Sarah lay prone with a Barrett M8250 caliber rifle. The weapon weighed 30 pounds. The recoil could break ribs if you didn't respect it. Hawk lay beside her with a spotting scope. Target 1,800 yards, he called. Wind 9 miles per hour, quartering right. Temperature 71. Mirage moderate. Sarah did the math. At this distance, the bullet would take over 2 seconds to arrive. The 50 cal round would drop nearly 60 feet. The wind would push it 4 feet right. 18 MOA elevation, she murmured. 3 MOA right. She dialed the adjustments. Her breathing slowed. Her world narrowed to the reticle, the target, the wind. First shot, the Barrett roared. Her shoulder took the hit. Downrange, the steel target rang, but high, 2 inches above center. Good elevation. Windage off, Hawk said. Adjust .5 left. She made the correction. Second shot, dead center. The steel sang like a bell. Nash, watching from 20 feet away, nodded slowly. Ain't bad for a lieutenant. Sarah turned her head, looked at him through her scope. Ain't bad for anyone, Sergeant. Hawk grinned. She's got you there, Nash. Nash spat again, walked away. But there was respect in his stride now. That evening, Mitchell pulled Sarah aside. They stood on a ridge overlooking the compound. The sun set behind Appalachian peaks, painting the sky in shades of blood and copper. Your father called, Mitchell said. Told me to keep you safe. What did you tell him? That I'd do my best. He paused. But we both know safe isn't what you signed up for. No, sir. Maya was like a daughter to me, Sarah. I recruited her, trained her, watched her become one of the best operators in Delta history. His voice went rough. When the KIA report came through, I mourned her. When I found out she was alive, I couldn't let her stay in enemy hands. I won't. I understand. Do you? He turned to face her. Because this isn't a training op. This isn't selection. People will try to kill you. You'll have to kill them first. And when the bullets start flying, there's no pause button. No reset. You live or you die based on decisions you make in half a second. I know. Do you trust me, Sarah? She looked at this man. Her godfather. Her father's best friend. A legend in a community that didn't believe in legends. Yes, sir. He nodded. Then trust this. I'll bring you home. One way or another. 400 hours. Departure day. The C-130. Hercules sat on the tarmac, engines idling. No tail number. No identification. The team loaded gear in silence. Parachutes, weapons, ammo, medical supplies. Enough equipment to fight a small war. Sarah wore full kit, ACUs, plate carrier, helmet, night vision. Her primary weapon was an M4A1 with a holographic sight. Her secondary was a Glock 19, and across her back, broken down in a drag bag, was a custom-built precision rifle. .308 Winchester, 20-inch barrel, suppressed. Cooper did final radio checks. Nash triple-checked the demo charges. Hawk studied maps he'd already memorized. Mitchell approached Sarah. Last chance to back out, he said quietly. Not a chance, he smiled, handed her a small photograph. Maya Rivers, smiling. Rare expression for her, taken somewhere green and peaceful, probably Montana, probably after a successful op. Bring her home, Mitchell said. Sarah tucked the photo into her chest pocket, over her heart. Count on it. The loadmaster signaled. They boarded, the ramp closed, the C-130 taxied, turned, engines roared, and then they were airborne, climbing into darkness, heading toward a country most Americans couldn't find on a map, heading toward a woman who was supposed to be dead, heading toward whatever waited in the Syrian night. Sarah closed her eyes, not to sleep, to center herself. She thought about her father's words, "You're better than I ever was." She thought about Maya's mantra, "Pain is temporary, quitting lasts forever." She thought about the elk falling in the Montana aspens. One shot, one kill, one chance to get it right. The C-130 flew on through darkness. Below, oceans passed, then deserts. And somewhere ahead, in a compound marked on no official map, a woman waited. Dead according to the records, alive according to hope. The truth waited in Syria. And Sarah Chen, 27 years old, Delta Force operator, daughter of a general student of violence, was about to find it. The plane flew on. The night swallowed it whole. The jump came at 28,000 feet. High altitude, low opening, halo. The kind of insertion that separated operators from everyone else who claimed to be warriors. The kind that killed you if you made one mistake. Delayed your pull, drifted off course, tangled your lines. The kind that left no room for fear because fear took up oxygen your brain needed for mathematics. Sarah stood in the C-130's cargo bay, breathing pure oxygen through her mask. Around her, the team did final checks. Hawk adjusted his altimeter. Nash tightened his harness. Cooper bounced on his toes, nervous energy that would burn off the second he left the aircraft. Mitchell stood by the ramp watching them. He wasn't jumping. This was their mission now. The loadmaster raised one finger. 1 minute. Sarah's heart rate climbed. Not panic, preparation. Her body knew what was coming. The ramp began to open. Night rushed in, cold, absolute. The kind of darkness that existed at altitude where the atmosphere thinned and the stars burned holes in black canvas. The loadmaster raised his hand. 5 fingers, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green light. Hawk went first, stepped off the ramp and vanished into nothing. Nash followed, then Cooper. Sarah stood at the edge, looked down into darkness so complete it might as well have been the void before creation. She stepped off. Gravity took her. The wind hit like a frozen fist. 120 miles per hour, minus 40 degrees. The world became a roar of pure force trying to tear her apart. She arched her back, spread her arms, stabilized. The altimeter on her wrist glowed green. 27,000 feet, falling at 120 miles per hour. Terminal velocity. Below Syria spread out like a topographical map painted in shades of gray. No lights, no cities, just empty desert and the occasional road cutting through nothing. 20,000 feet. Her mind calculated trajectory. Wind drift, landing zone. Numbers scrolled through her consciousness like targeting data. 15,000 feet. The ground started to look like ground instead of abstract concept. 10,000 feet. She could see details now. Rock formations, wadis, the shape of the desert taking form. 5,000 feet. Hawk deployed first. His chute blossomed black canopy against black sky. Sarah counted 2 seconds, pulled her ripcord. The parachute snapped open. Harness bit into her shoulders. Her fall arrested from 120 miles per hour to 15 in 2 seconds. Her stomach tried to climb into her throat. She rode it out, grabbed the toggles, steered toward the landing zone. The Syrian desert rose up to meet her. She flared at the last second, hit the sand running. Collapsed her chute in 3 practice motions. Around her, the team landed like shadows returning to Earth. Hawk raised a fist. Rally point. They converged, moving in complete silence, buried their chutes, stripped off jump gear, pulled out weapons. Sarah assembled her precision rifle, scope, suppressor, magazine. The motions were automatic. Her hands had done this in the dark 1,000 times. Hawk pulled out a tablet. GPS coordinates glowed green. 40 miles to target, 2 days to cover it. He pointed northeast. They moved. The desert swallowed them. Day 1, 0600 hours. They moved during darkness and early morning, before the heat turned the desert into an oven that cooked careless soldiers alive. Hawk led. Sarah walked second, eyes scanning for threats. Nash third, carrying enough explosives to level a city block. Cooper brought up their rear, quiet, now professional. The terrain was broken sandstone and scrub, ancient riverbeds that hadn't seen water in 10,000 years. Rock formations that looked like melted wax. By 0900, the temperature hit 95 degrees. They found an overhang, dug into the shade, set up a security rotation. Sarah took first watch, lay prone with her rifle scanning the horizon through her scope. Nothing moved except heat mirage. The world shimmered like a fever dream. Hawk settled beside her, pulled out a map, cross-referenced it with the tablet. "We're making good time," he said quietly. "Another 30 miles. If we maintain pace, we hit the target tomorrow night." "Intel update," Sarah asked. "Nothing new. Satellite imagery shows the compound unchanged. 12 to 15 vehicles. Probable garrison of 20 to 30. Long odds. We've had worse." Hawk studied her. "You scared, terrified. Good. Scared keeps you sharp. Overconfident gets you killed." He paused. "You trust Mitchell?" The question landed like a stone in still water. Sarah thought about it, really thought about it. "I trust that he wants Maya back," she said finally. "I trust that he believes this mission is righteous." "That's not what I asked." "I know." She lowered her rifle slightly. "But I've been in the Army long enough to know that righteous and legal aren't always the same thing." Hawk smiled without humor. "You're learning." They sat in silence for a while. The desert baked. Somewhere a bird called harsh and lonely. "Can I ask you something?" Sarah said. "Shoot. Why'd you take this job off book op? No official support. Probably illegal under about 6 different international laws." Hawk was quiet for a long moment. Then he touched his neck. Sarah saw the scar tissue for the first time. Old burns, mostly hidden by his beard. "Mitchell saved my life 20 years ago. Hindu Kush. Helicopter went down in flames." He touched the scars. "I owe him everything. So when he calls, I come." Simple as that. Simple as that. Even if the mission's wrong, even then. He looked at her. "You don't abandon people who bled for you. Your father teach you that every day of my life. Then you understand." The sun climbed higher. The temperature broke 100. They waited. Day 2, 0200 hours. They approached the compound in darkness so complete it felt like moving through oil. Sarah's night vision turned the world green. The compound appeared 2,000 yards ahead. Blocky buildings, chain-link fence, vehicles parked in no particular order. They stopped at a low ridge, dropped prone. Hawk glassed the target with his scope. Counting 12 vehicles, 2 guards on the south gate, 2 walking perimeter. No visible sentries on buildings. Too quiet, Nash muttered. Or they're lazy, Cooper offered. Or it's a trap, Sarah said. Everyone looked at her. What makes you say that? Hawk asked. Because if I knew American operators were coming for a high-value prisoner, I'd make it look undermanned. Draw them in, then spring the ambush when they're committed. Hawk lowered his scope. You've got good instincts. So what do? We adapt. He pulled out the tablet, brought up thermals. Cooper, can you hack their comms? Cooper pulled out a small device. If they're using standard frequencies, yeah, give me 5 minutes. He worked in silence, fingers flying. The rest of them watched the compound. Got it, Cooper whispered. They're broadcasting on 2 channels. Channel 1 is standard guard chatter. Channel 2 is, he frowned, encrypted, military-grade encryption. Taliban doesn't have military-grade encryption, Nash said. No, Hawk agreed. They don't. Something was wrong. Sarah felt it in her gut, a wrongness she couldn't name. She raised her rifle, scanned the compound through her scope. The guards moved too professionally, too disciplined. These weren't militia fighters. These were trained soldiers. Hawk, she whispered into her radio. I don't like this. Elaborate. The guards, they're moving like spec ops, changing patterns every rotation, overlapping fields of fire. Someone trained them. Static. Then, we're committed. Moving in. Sarah watched through her scope as Hawk, Nash, and Cooper approached the south fence. Nash placed a cutting charge. Quiet, precise. The fence parted. They slipped through, moved toward the main building. Everything was too easy. Sarah's finger rested outside the trigger guard. Her breathing slowed. The team reached the building. Nash placed a breaching charge on the door. Sarah scanned windows, roof lines, shadows, saw movement, 3rd floor window, man with a radio watching. Hawk, you've got a spotter. 3rd floor north window. Copy, proceeding. The breaching charge blew, quiet, professional. The door collapsed inward. Hawk's team entered. The spotter raised his radio. Sarah centered her crosshairs on him. 847 yards. Slight wind. Easy shot. Her finger moved to the trigger. The entire compound lit up. Floodlights. Dozens of them. Blinding white. And gunfire. Everywhere. All at once, the trap sprung. Contact, Hawk's voice on the radio. Controlled panic. We're surrounded. Multiple hostiles. They were waiting for us. Sarah's scope showed chaos. 20 men. No 30. Pouring from buildings, automatic weapons, coordinated fire. This wasn't a garrison. This was an ambush site. Fall back, Hawk ordered. Sarah, cover fire. She didn't need to be told twice. Her rifle spoke. The spotter in the window dropped. She worked the bolt. Acquired a new target. A man running toward Hawk's position. Center mass. Squeeze. Down. Another target. Another shot. The Barrett's rhythm became a metronome. Fire. Bolt. Acquire. Fire. 600 yards. Man with RPG. Headshot. 400 yards. Machine gunner setting up. Chest. 500 yards. 2 men flanking. Double tap. Both dropped. Through her scope, she saw Cooper go down. Blood spray. Leg wound. Nash grabbed him. Started dragging. Hawk provided cover fire. His M4 barked controlled bursts. Sarah shot faster. Precision gave way to volume. Suppressing fire to give her team room to move. 7 shots, 7 targets eliminated, but more kept coming. Too many. This wasn't a rescue operation. This was an execution. Exfil route compromised, Hawk's voice crackled. They're blocking our escape. Sarah scanned desperately, found a gap in the enemy line. Northwest corner, 50 yards. Go now. She put rounds downrange, kept heads down, gave them seconds. Hawk and Nash ran, Cooper between them, hopping on one leg. They made the gap. Sarah kept shooting. Her magazine ran dry. 12 seconds, 12 seconds she was exposed. She swapped it out. New magazine. Back in the fight, but the enemy was adapting. They'd found her position. Rounds cracked past her head, impacted the rocks around her. Spalling stone fragments cut her cheek. Time to move. She broke down the rifle, grabbed her M4, ran. Behind her, the compound erupted in gunfire. Tracer rounds cut the darkness like laser light shows. She ran for 300 yards, found the rally point, an old stone structure half collapsed. Hawk was there, Nash, Cooper bleeding badly from his thigh. How bad? Sarah asked, dropping beside Cooper. Femoral artery missed by an inch, Cooper gasped. Hurts like hell, but I'll live. Nash worked on the wound, combat dressing, tourniquet. His hands were steady despite the chaos. We need to move, Hawk said. They'll be on us in minutes. Cooper can't run. Then we carry him. Hawk looked at Sarah. You did good back there. Saved our lives. Who were they? Sarah demanded. Those weren't Taliban. Those weren't militia. I don't know. But we need to get clear before we ask questions. They moved. Nash carried Cooper in a fireman's carry. Hawk took point. Sarah brought up rear, her M4 ready. They ran through darkness, put miles between themselves and the ambush. By dawn, they reached a dry riverbed, went to ground. Cooper was pale, sweating, but alive. Hawk activated the satellite phone. Encrypted call to Mitchell. The conversation was short, tense. When Hawk hung up, his face was stone. Well, Nash asked, Mitchell says proceed to alternate exfil point, 40 miles northeast. He'll have extraction ready in 36 hours. Did you ask him what the hell that was back there? I asked. And he said he'd explain when we're stateside. Silence. That's not good enough, Sarah said. Everyone looked at her. That was a setup, she continued. They knew we were coming. They were ready. Someone told them. You saying Mitchell sold us out? Nash's voice was dangerous. I'm saying someone did. And right now, Mitchell's the only person who knew the details. He's also the only person getting us out of this godforsaken country, Hawk said. So we table this discussion until we're safe. Clear, Sarah wanted to argue. But Hawk was right. Survival first, questions later. Clear, she said. They rested for 2 hours, treated Cooper's wound, ate MREs that tasted like cardboard and regret. Then they moved again, northeast, toward Turkey, toward extraction, toward answers. 30 hours later, they crossed into Turkey at dawn. No fanfare, just a fence in the middle of nowhere that marked where Syria ended and relative safety began. The extraction helicopter waited 5 miles inside Turkey. A civilian Bell 412, no markings. Colonel James Mitchell stood beside it. Sarah approached him while the others loaded Cooper aboard. Colonel, she said. Her voice was ice. We need to talk. Agreed. But not here. Here, now. Mitchell studied her. Saw something in her eyes that made him nod. They walked 20 yards from the helicopter. That wasn't a rescue operation, Sarah said. That was an ambush. They were waiting for us. I know. You know. Her voice rose. We almost died. Cooper almost bled out. And you know. Keep your voice down, Lieutenant. Don't pull rank on me. Not after you sent us into a kill box. Mitchell's jaw tightened. The intel was solid when we deployed. Something changed. Someone tipped them off. Who? I don't know yet. What about Maya? Was she even there? Mitchell didn't answer. Was she even there? Sarah repeated. No, he said finally. She wasn't. The world tilted. You sent us after a ghost. I sent you after information. Maya was the bait. I needed to see who would react to an American op targeting that location. We're not chess pieces. In my world, Lieutenant, everyone is a chess piece. The question is whether you're a pawn or a queen. Sarah's hand moved toward her sidearm, stopped. Years of discipline fighting against rage. Maya's alive, Mitchell said, and that part was true, but she's not a prisoner. The second tilt, worse than the first. What is she? Mitchell pulled out his tablet, brought up a file, showed Sarah, classified documents, financial records, surveillance photos. Maya Rivers, alive, free, training terrorists. She defected 18 months ago, Mitchell said. Sold everything she knew to the Taliban for $2 million. Since then, she's been teaching them advanced tactics, ambush techniques, counter-sniper operations. He swiped through photos, Maya instructing fighters, Maya examining weapons, Maya planning operations. 14 American soldiers are dead because of what she taught them, Mitchell continued. 14 families got folded flags instead of their sons and daughters. Sarah felt sick. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed you motivated. If I told you Maya was a traitor, would you have come? Yes, to bring her to justice. Exactly. But I needed more than justice. I needed to flush out her network. See who was protecting her. Learn how deep the betrayal went. By using us as bait. By using an opportunity. His voice went hard. This is war, Lieutenant. Real war. Not the sanitized version they teach at West Point. In real war, you use every asset, every angle, every advantage, even if it kills your own people. I didn't plan for the ambush, but you accepted the risk. Mitchell said nothing. Sarah turned away, looked at the helicopter, at her team, at Cooper being loaded on a stretcher. Where is she? Sarah asked. Maya. Where is she now? Turkey, a safe house 30 miles from here. You know where she is. I've known for 3 weeks. And you didn't move on her. Because she's not alone. She's protecting someone. A CIA officer who went deep cover 8 months ago, Captain David Park. He's been trying to infiltrate her network. But if we extract him now, we blow his cover and lose everything he's learned. So leave him there? No, we use the intelligence from your mission to build a case. Then we extract both of them. Park alive, Maya in custody. When? 72 hours. I have a team standing by, but I needed confirmation that Maya was still at the location. Your mission provided that. At the cost of Cooper's leg and almost our lives. Yes. No apology. No regret. Just acknowledgement. Sarah looked at this man, her godfather, her father's best friend, a legend, and saw a stranger. I want in, she said. No, that wasn't a request, Colonel. You used me. You lied to me. You put me in a kill box for intelligence gathering. Now I want to finish this. You're too emotionally invested. I'm the only one emotionally invested enough to get it done right. They stared at each other. You'll follow my orders, Mitchell asked. If they're the right orders. That's not how it works. It is now. Mitchell smiled. Not warmth, appreciation for audacity. You're your father's daughter, he said. Fine, you're in. But this one is different. This one we bring them both back alive. Park for debriefing, Maya for trial. And if Maya resists, then you use the skills I know you have. Sarah nodded. They walked back to the helicopter. Hawk was waiting. Everything good? No, Sarah said. But we're moving forward anyway. The helicopter lifted off. Turkey fell away beneath them. Sarah sat in silence, processing, planning. Maya Rivers, mentor, hero, traitor. The woman who taught her that quitting lasts forever. The woman who'd quit on everything that mattered. Sarah closed her eyes, but she didn't see darkness. She saw crosshairs. She saw a target. She saw the shot she was going to have to take. The flight to the United States took 14 hours. Military transport, no windows. Just the drone of engines and the weight of what came next. Sarah sat between past and future. Hawk cleaned his rifle with methodical precision. Nash slept or pretended to. Cooper was strapped to a medical litter doped on painkillers, his wounded leg elevated. Mitchell stood in the cockpit speaking to the pilots, his back to the cargo hold, his posture rigid. Sarah kept replaying it, the ambush, the lights, the coordinated fire. Someone had known, someone had told them. She pulled out her phone. No signal at altitude, but she typed the message hours ago. Dad, I'm safe, home soon. She stared at it, then deleted it. What could she say that her godfather might be dirty? That the man who saved her father's life might have sent her into a trap? That everything she thought she knew was crumbling? She put the phone away, tried to sleep, couldn't. Kept seeing Maya's face from the photograph, the smile, the rare moment of peace. Kept hearing her voice. You're good enough, kid. Don't let anyone tell you different. Had any of it been real, Hawk was watching her. You all right? He asked quietly. No. Didn't think so. He paused. For what it's worth, I don't think Mitchell's dirty. Then who tipped them off? Don't know. But I've worked with James for 20 years. He's a lot of things. Calculating, ruthless, willing to sacrifice pawns for the larger game. But he's not a traitor. How can you be sure? I can't, but I trust my gut. And my gut says he's hunting something bigger than Maya. Sarah wanted to believe that, wanted to trust that her godfather was still the man her father had described. The man who carried William Chen 2 miles through Mogadishu while bullets turned walls to confetti. But wanting didn't make it true. The plane flew on. 10 hours to Fort Bragg, 10 hours to decide who to trust, who to believe, who to follow into whatever came next. Sarah closed her eyes again. This time exhaustion won. She dreamed of Montana, of her father teaching her to shoot, of her mother braiding her hair, of a time when right and wrong were clear, when good guys wore one uniform and bad guys wore another. She dreamed of a world that had never really existed, and when she woke, Fort Bragg was below them. The plane landed at a restricted airfield. Dawn was breaking, red sky, sailors' warning. Armed security and black SUVs waited on the tarmac. No tower, no ground crew. Just silent men with weapons and no questions. Listen up, Mitchell said to the team. Debriefing at 0900 tomorrow. Until then, you're released. Don't talk to anyone about the operation. Clear? Crystal, Hawk said. Nash nodded. Cooper on his gurney, being loaded into an ambulance, gave a weak thumbs up. Sarah said nothing. Mitchell studied her. Something on your mind, Lieutenant. Just wondering when you're going to tell my father about this. I already did. Called him from Turkey. He knows you're safe. Does he know what you used me for? He knows you completed your mission successfully. That's all he needs to know. You're wrong. Am I? He deserves the truth. About Maya, about the ambush, about everything. Mitchell stepped closer. His voice dropped. Sarah, I know you're angry. I know you feel used. But you need to understand something. Your father and I have kept secrets for 30 years. Secrets that kept Americans alive. Secrets that won wars. This is just one more. This is different. It's always different. It's never different. He paused. Go home. See your father. Rest. In a week, this will all make sense. And if it doesn't, then we'll talk. But not here. Not now. He walked to a waiting SUV, drove away. Sarah stood alone on the tarmac. The sun rose higher. The day began. But something felt like it was ending. She pulled out her phone, called her father. He answered on the first ring. Sarah. Relief, raw and overwhelming. Just her name, but she'd heard everything behind it. I'm stateside, she said. I'm safe. Mitchell told me, said you did well. Silence on the line, long enough to be an answer. Did he tell you what happened? Sarah asked. More silence. Come home, her father said finally. We'll talk here. Dad, not on the phone. Come home. The line went dead. Sarah looked at the phone, then at Fort Bragg sprawling in the distance, then at the sky. Something was very wrong. She caught a taxi off base, headed to her apartment, grabbed her go-bag, left her service weapon. She was on leave. Carrying was more risk than protection right now. 3 hours later, she was on a commercial flight to Montana. The ranch looked the same. Pine trees, mountain peaks. The house with smoke rising from the chimney. Her father stood on the porch watching her drive up the access road. He'd aged in the weeks she'd been gone. Or maybe she was just seeing him clearly for the first time. She got out of the truck, walked toward him. He pulled her into a hug. Tight, the kind of hug that said, I thought I'd lost you. I'm okay, she murmured. I know. They went inside. Coffee was already made. They sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Mitchell had briefed them a lifetime ago, a week ago. Tell me, her father said. So she did. Everything. The jump, the approach, the compound, the ambush, the lights, the gunfire, Cooper bleeding, the desperate escape, the extraction. Mitchell's revelation about Maya, the truth that Maya was alive, free, a traitor who'd sold everything for $2 million. William Chen listened without interrupting. His face remained neutral, old general's discipline. But his hands tightened around his coffee mug until Sarah thought it might shatter. When she finished, silence filled the kitchen. Long and heavy, then her father spoke. I've suspected James for 6 months. The words landed like artillery. What? Not about Maya specifically, but about operations he was running. Equipment discrepancies. Money moving in ways that didn't make sense. William stood, paced to the window. I didn't have proof, just instinct, the same instinct that kept me alive for 30 years. Why didn't you tell me? Because I hoped I was wrong. His voice cracked. James Mitchell saved my life. He's your godfather. He was my best friend. Was, past tense. After what he did to you, William continued, turning to face her. After he used you as bait, after he put you in a kill box and didn't blink. Friendship has limits. What are we going to do? We nothing. You're done. You're out. The hell I am. Sarah, he used me. He lied to me. He put me in a kill box and didn't blink. I'm not walking away from this. William started to argue, stopped, saw the look on his daughter's face, recognized it. He'd worn the same look 30 years ago in Mogadishu when everything went wrong and the only way out was through. What's your plan? He asked. Captain Park said there's proof. Bank records, communications. We find it. We expose whoever's running this, including Mitchell if he's involved. And if Mitchell tries to stop you, Sarah met her father's eyes. Then I stop him first. William was silent for a long moment. Then he walked to his study, came back with a folder. I've been building a file, he said. 6 months of discrepancies, patterns, suspicions. He handed it to her. Sarah opened the folder, saw shipping manifests, financial records, deployment orders. All signed by Colonel James Mitchell. It's not proof, William said, but it's a start. Sarah's phone buzzed. Text message, unknown number. They're coming for me. If you want answers, come now. Building 47 Fort Bragg, alone. Park. She showed her father. It's a trap, William said immediately. Maybe, or maybe it's the only chance we get. If you go, I'm coming with you. If I bring a 4-star general, they'll lawyer up or disappear. I need to go alone. Then you're not going. Sarah stood. Dad, you taught me to fight for what's right. This is me fighting. I taught you to survive. There's a difference. You also taught me that some things are worth dying for. William's face crumpled. Just for a second. Then the general's mask returned. Your mother would kill me for letting you do this, he said. Mom would already be halfway to Bragg. William almost smiled. Almost. Take my truck, he said. It's got a tracker. If you're not back in 4 hours, I'm coming in with everyone I can muster. Deal. He pulled her into another hug, whispered in her ear. Rely on what you know, not what you feel. Knowledge keeps you alive. I love you too, Dad. She grabbed her jacket, headed for the door. Sarah, her father called. She turned. Come back to me. She drove through the night, 11 hours, stopped only for gas and coffee. Her mind ran scenarios. Best case, worst case, most likely case. All of them ended with someone in handcuffs or body bags. She arrived at Fort Bragg at 2000 hours, used her ID to get on base. Drove to Building 47, an old warehouse scheduled for demolition. Broken windows, rusted siding, chain link fence with gate hanging open. Perfect place for a meeting off the record. She parked, checked her phone. No new messages. Got out of the truck. The night was cold, quiet. Stars overhead struggling against light pollution. She walked through the gate. The warehouse was vast, empty. Moonlight streamed through holes in the roof. Her footsteps echoed. Park, she called. No answer. She moved deeper. Hand near her belt. She'd brought her personal Glock despite regulations. Knowledge over rules. Captain Park, if you're here. Lights blazed on. Blinding. Sarah's hand went to her weapon, but froze. 12 men stood in a semicircle. Delta operators. Weapons drawn. Not pointed at her yet, but ready. And in the center, Colonel James Mitchell. Hello, Sarah, he said. Thank you for coming. Sarah's hand stayed near her Glock. Every instinct screamed trap, but something in Mitchell's posture, hands visible, relaxed, no threat, made her pause. Where's Park, she asked. Safe, secured, being debriefed by people who know how to ask questions. This is a setup. This is a conversation. Mitchell took a slow step forward. Whether it stays a conversation or becomes something else depends on you. The 12 operators remained motionless, professional, waiting for orders that hadn't come yet. Talk, Sarah said. Mitchell studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded to the operators. They lowered their weapons slightly, still ready, but less aggressive. Maya was right about one thing, Mitchell said. There is someone high up running weapons, selling intelligence. Getting Americans killed, Sarah tensed. You. No. His voice was flat, hard. Me hunting them for 4 years. The words hung in the air like smoke. You're saying Maya worked for you, Sarah said slowly. I flipped her 18 months ago. She agreed to fake her death, go undercover, work her way into the network. Mitchell's jaw tightened. She was supposed to identify the players, build evidence, report back. What happened? 3 months ago, she went dark, stopped reporting, started actually selling secrets. His voice went cold. She played me, played all of us. Sarah's mind raced, trying to find the lie in what he was saying, finding only logic, cold, brutal, operational logic. And Park, real CIA, real undercover. But he was investigating me. Mitchell smiled without humor. CIA doesn't trust DOD. DOD doesn't trust CIA. Everyone's investigating everyone. It's a miracle we win any wars. So this whole operation was me trying to recover Maya before she exposed too much, before she burned Park, before the whole network scattered. He looked at her. And yes, I used you, because I knew you'd do anything to save your mentor, and I needed that motivation. You could have told me the truth. Could I? Mitchell moved closer. Sarah's hand twitched toward her weapon. He stopped. Would you have believed me, or would you have gone to your father, who would have launched an official investigation that would have tipped off the real players? Sarah wanted to argue. Couldn't, because he was right. What now? She asked. Now you decide. Mitchell pulled out his phone, showed her a text message from William Chen. If Mitchell says he's hunting traitors, he's hunting traitors. Help him or stay out of his way, but don't fight him. Not on this. Sent 2 hours ago. You contacted my father, Sarah said. He contacted me after you left Montana. Asked me what the hell was going on. I told him everything. Mitchell pocketed the phone. He believes me. Question is, do you? Sarah's world balanced on a knife edge. Trust and suspicion, logic and emotion, knowledge versus feelings. What did she know? Mitchell had sent her into danger, used her as bait, lied about Maya's location. But he'd also extracted her, brought her home, was now offering transparency. Her father, a man who trusted almost no one, believed him. If I help, Sarah said slowly, I need full transparency. No more lies, no more using me as bait. Agreed. And when we find them, they face justice. Real justice, not black ops execution. Agreed, with one caveat. What? If they fight back, we fight harder. I won't sacrifice good people to take bad people alive. Sarah considered this, nodded. Fair. Where do we start? Mitchell's smile was almost genuine this time. We start with Maya. Make her talk. The military prison was underground. Built during the Cold War to hold the worst of the worst. Traitors, spies, war criminals. They drove in silence. Sarah, Mitchell, 2 guards. Down a service road that didn't appear on any map, to a checkpoint manned by soldiers with no unit patches. Through 3 security doors, each requiring biometric scans. The air got colder with each level down. Finally a corridor, concrete walls, bare bulbs, the sound of ventilation systems struggling against the weight of earth above. Maya's cell was at the end. Mitchell stopped outside. 5 minutes, I'll be watching. He gestured to a camera in the corner. Sarah nodded. The guard opened the door. Maya sat on a metal cot, orange prison scrubs. Her shoulder was properly bandaged now. Medical care, due process, the machinery of military justice grinding into motion. She looked up as Sarah entered, those hard eyes that had seen too much but never looked away. Back for round 2? Maya asked. Sarah pulled up a metal chair, sat across from the bars separating them. Mitchell told me, she said, about how he flipped you, how you were working for him. Maya's expression flickered. Surprise, then calculation, then something that might have been resignation. Did he tell you why I stopped? Said you went rogue. Did he tell you what I found? Sarah waited. Maya leaned forward. The network isn't run by foreign actors, Sarah. It's Americans, senior officers, senators, defense contractors, people who profit from endless war. That's conspiracy theory garbage. Is it? Maya's voice was soft, dangerous. Follow the money. Every time we pull out of a conflict, weapons sales drop, stock prices fall, donations dry up, so they create new conflicts, new threats, new reasons to keep the machine running. And you help them. I infiltrated them, learned their methods, gathered proof. Maya's eyes locked on Sarah's. Then I realized Mitchell knew, had known for years, and was protecting them. Sarah stood. That's a lie. Is it? Ask yourself why he hasn't moved on them? Why he's had evidence for 4 years and done nothing? Why he used you to bring me in instead of them? Because he needed proof that would hold up in court. Or because he's part of it, and I'm the only one who can expose him. Sarah walked to the door, stopped. Where's the proof? If you have evidence, where is it? Maya smiled, bitter, knowing. Safe, hidden, insurance policy. If I disappear or die in here, it goes public automatically. Where? Help me get out. I'll tell you. Not a chance. Then I guess we'll never know who's lying. Sarah left. The door clanged shut behind her. The sound echoed down the corridor like a gavel. Mitchell was waiting outside. What did she say? He asked. Sarah looked at him. Really looked at him. Saw a man who'd spent 30 years at war, who'd killed and bled and sacrificed everything for his country. Saw a man who'd used her, lied to her, manipulated her. Saw a stranger who might be a hero, or might be a traitor. She said you're protecting them, Sarah said. The people running the network. Said you've known for years. Mitchell's face remained neutral. And you believe her? I don't know what to believe anymore. Fair. He nodded, reached into his jacket, pulled out a thumb drive. Every file I have, every piece of evidence, every name, account, and operation I've tracked for 4 years. Take it, review it, bring in whoever you trust. Your father, FBI, Congress. I don't care. He held out the drive. Verify what I'm telling you. Sarah stared at it. What if this was fabricated? What if Maya was right and Mitchell had spent 4 years building a perfect cover story? She looked at her father's text on Mitchell's phone again. Help him or stay out of his way. And if I find you're lying, Sarah asked, then you know what to do. He pressed the drive into her hand. But you won't find that, because I'm not lying. I'm hunting monsters, Sarah, and I'm asking you to help me kill them. Sarah closed her hand around the drive. 72 hours. I verify this. If it checks out, I'm in. If it doesn't, I'm coming for you. Fair. The drive felt heavy in her pocket as she walked to the truck, heavier than any weapon. She stopped halfway, turned back. Mitchell was still there watching her leave. What if Maya was right? What if this thumb drive was 4 years of carefully constructed lies? A master manipulator doesn't hand over real evidence. He hands over exactly what he wants you to find. Her hand moved to her phone. She could call FBI right now. Let professionals verify, but professionals would leak. And if Mitchell was dirty, he'd disappear before they finished the first warrant. No, this had to be her father, people she trusted completely. She got in the truck, drove away. In the rearview mirror, Mitchell stood motionless, watching until she disappeared. 48 hours later, she sat at her father's desk in Montana. The laptop screen cast blue light across her face. She'd been reading for 2 days straight, barely sleeping, barely eating, just reading. Every file on Mitchell's drive, every transaction, every communication, every operation. 4 hours in, she found the first transaction. Offshore account, Cayman Islands. Mitchell's name and the routing codes. Her breath stopped. Dad! William came over, looked at the screen. His face went pale. They stared at it for 5 full minutes. Then Sarah clicked deeper. Follow the money trail. The account was a pass-through. The actual recipient, a shell company owned by Senator Richard Vance. Defense Appropriations Committee. Mitchell had been tracking it, documenting it, building the case. William exhaled. Keep going. They kept going. The evidence was damning, but not against Mitchell. Against 3 senators, 2 defense contractors, and 1 4-star general at the Pentagon. Names she recognized. Men who'd testified before Congress about threats. Men who'd pushed for interventions in countries most Americans couldn't find on a map. Men who'd profited from every conflict for the past decade. Mitchell had been building the case for 4 years, meticulously, carefully, following the money from weapons sales to offshore accounts, tracking communications between military logistics and private contractors, documenting equipment that disappeared from manifests and appeared in war zones sold to both sides. Maya's accusation had been projection. She'd been protecting these men, and when Mitchell got too close, she tried to flip the narrative, make him the villain, save herself. William entered the study. He'd been reading over her shoulder for hours. Well, he asked. He's clean, Sarah said. Everything checks out. The bank records match his story. The weapons trafficking network is real. And it goes higher than I imagined. Relief and sorrow mixed on her father's face. Relief that his best friend wasn't a traitor. Sorrow that the betrayal went so deep. Sarah's phone rang. Mitchell, she answered. Tell me you found what I knew you'd find, he said. I did, and I'm in. What's the play? Captain Park broke Maya's insurance policy. Storage unit in Alexandria, Virginia. Documents, photos, recordings. Everything we need to bring down the network, he paused. But Maya has a dead man's switch. If she doesn't check in every 48 hours, the evidence goes public. Unredacted. Classified operations. Undercover agents. It'll burn half our intelligence network. When's the next check-in? 6 hours. She's demanding release. Threatening to let it all burn. Sarah's mind raced. If she walks, she disappears. We lose everything. Exactly. But if she stays locked up and misses the deadline, people die. Good people. Undercover officers, assets, their families. Exactly. Silence on the line. There's a third option, Sarah said slowly. I'm listening. We give her what she wants. Conditional release under surveillance. She leads us to the storage unit. We get the evidence. Neutralize the switch. Then we bring her back in. She'll run. Not if she thinks she's won. Not if she thinks she's outsmarted us. Mitchell was quiet for a long moment. This would require breaking about 20 regulations. Probably illegal. Definitely career-ending if it goes wrong. Good thing this is off book. Your father know you're planning this, Sarah looked at William. He'd heard everything on speaker. Her father's face was stone. Then he nodded once. He knows, Sarah said. Then let's get it done. 12 hours later, Maya walked out of the military prison. Technically conditional release pending investigation. Ankle monitor. Check-ins every 6 hours. She knew it was theater. Knew they were watching. But she also knew she had leverage. The insurance policy, the evidence that could burn the network and everyone connected to it. She climbed into a taxi, headed north. 3 miles behind her, Sarah followed in an unmarked car. Hawk rode shotgun, Nash in back. Mitchell coordinated from a command vehicle. "She's heading toward Alexandria," came Mitchell's voice over the radio. "Just like Park said." "Copy," Sarah replied. They followed for 2 hours, Interstate 95 north, then surface streets into a commercial district. Maya's taxi stopped at a storage facility. She paid, got out, walked to Unit 247. Sarah parked 3 blocks away. "She's at the unit," Sarah reported. "Give her 5 minutes," Mitchell said. "Let her get comfortable. Then move in." They waited. Sarah's phone buzzed. Text message. "I know you're out there, kid. Come inside, alone, or I trigger the switch right now." From Maya's number. "She made us," Hawk said. "Of course she did," Sarah replied. "She trained me. She knows how I think." "This is a trap." "Probably." Sarah opened the door. "Cover the exits. If I'm not out in 10 minutes, come get me." She walked to Unit 247. The door was open. Inside, Maya sat on a metal chair. Around her boxes, files, hard drives, and in her hand, a phone. Thumb hovering over the screen. "One button," Maya said. "Everything goes public. Want to bet your godfather's career on whether I'll push it?" Sarah stepped inside. "You're not going to push it." "Why not?" "Because then you lose your leverage. The network kills you within 24 hours. You know that." Maya smiled. "Smart girl. So what's the play here? You give me the phone, disable the switch, hand over the evidence, then you go to trial. But as a cooperating witness, not a traitor. And if I refuse, then I take the phone from you." In one motion, Maya threw the phone. Sarah's hands shot out, caught it. Muscle memory from 1,000 training drills. Reflex honed by years of Maya's instruction. Maya was already moving. She closed the distance, knife from her belt. The blade caught light as it arced towards Sarah's throat. Sarah blocked, redirected. The knife passed inches from her neck. She struck back, palm heel to Maya's sternum. But Maya twisted, took the impact on her shoulder instead. They separated, circled. The fight was brutal. Close quarters, teacher versus student. Every technique Sarah knew Maya had taught her. Every counter Maya anticipated. They moved through the storage unit like a violent dance, each knowing the other's moves, each adapting. Sarah took a cut across her forearm. Shallow, painful, blood welled up. Maya took an elbow to the ribs, gasped, stumbled back. They separated again, breathing hard. "I taught you well," Maya said. "Not well enough to turn traitor." Maya lunged again. This time Sarah was ready, sidestepped, grabbed Maya's wrist as she passed, twisted. The knife clattered to the concrete floor. Maya threw a punch. Sarah ducked, swept Maya's leg. Maya went down hard. Sarah was on top of her instantly, knee on chest, pinning her. "It's over," Sarah said. Maya's eyes gleamed. "Is it check the phone?" Sarah looked at the screen. "Dead man's switch activated, countdown 200. "I set a backup trigger," Maya said. "The moment the phone left my hand." Hawk burst through the door. "Sarah, we've got hostiles, multiple shooters converging. We need to move." Sarah stared at the countdown. Her mind raced through every file on Mitchell's drive. Every detail, every pattern. She saw it. Dead man's switch, countdown timer, automated email. But emails had undue windows. 30 seconds after sending. Kill the signal before send Nash signal jammer now. He tossed it through the door. Sarah caught it, activated it. The phone lost signal. Countdown stopped. 1:14. "Can't jam forever," Maya said. Sarah was already in the code. Military encryption. But she'd spent 2 days reading Mitchell's notes on Maya's techniques. She found the back door, the failsafe, password prompt. What would Maya use? She tried temporary access denied. Maya's mantra, the philosophy that defined her. She typed forever, the app open. Cancel, dead man's switch, disarmed. She exhaled, looked at Maya. "You always said quitting lasts forever." Guess you were right. Outside, gunfire erupted. Maya's network, come for their investment. Hawk at the door. 6 hostiles, we're pinned. Sarah grabbed Maya, zip-tied her hands. "You're not going anywhere." They moved to the door. The storage facility was a war zone. Bullets punched through metal. Ricochets screamed. Sarah saw them. 4 men in tactical gear. Professional, well-armed. Hawk laid suppressing fire. Nash threw a flashbang. Sarah pulled Maya toward their vehicle. One hostile acquired them, raised his rifle. A shot cracked from distance. The hostile dropped. Clean headshot. 800 yards. Sarah looked up. Rooftop in the distance. Her father, William Chen. Remington, 700. Move, his voice in her earpiece. I've got Overwatch. Sarah and Hawk dragged Maya to the car. Nash covered. 2 more shots from William. 2 more down. They reached the vehicle. Loaded Maya. Mitchell's command vehicle screeched up. Delta operators poured out. Engaged remaining hostiles. 90 seconds. Silence. All hostiles down or fled. Mitchell approached. Looked at Maya, then Sarah. You got it. Sarah held the phone. Switch disabled. Evidence secured. Her employers? 3 dead. Rest scattered. Mitchell nodded. Looked at Maya. Sergeant Rivers, you're going to tell us everything. Names, accounts, operations. Burn the entire network. And in exchange, Maya asked, life in prison instead of execution. Your choice. Maya spat blood. Looked at Sarah. You really chose them after everything I taught you. Sarah met her eyes. You taught me that honor matters. That quitting lasts forever. That we protect the people who bleed with us. She paused. You quit on all of that. I didn't. Maya looked away. William's truck pulled up. He stepped out, Remington still in hand. Walked to Sarah. You all right? He asked. Yeah, Dad, I'm all right. He looked at Maya, then at Mitchell. 30 years of friendship in that look. 30 years of trust that had been tested and survived. Mitchell nodded to him. William nodded back. No words needed. They loaded Maya into Mitchell's vehicle, drove away, toward military custody, toward justice, toward the end of this chapter. Sarah stood with her father as the sun rose over Alexandria. The storage facility was quiet now, just another industrial building in a forgotten part of town. But today here something had been won. Something important. Let's go home, William said. They drove back to Montana in comfortable silence. The kind of silence that comes after the storm, when the world settles, when things that were broken start to heal. 2 months later, the ranch looked the same. Pine trees, mountain peaks, smoke from the chimney. The trials had been quiet, national security, closed court. But the results were public enough. 3 senators resigned, ethics violations, campaign finance irregularities, nothing about weapons trafficking. That stayed buried, classified, 2 defense contractors indicted, fraud, embezzlement, the real crimes hidden behind legal technicalities. The 4-star general took early retirement, quietly, no ceremony, just disappeared from the Pentagon one day. Maya Rivers pleaded guilty, life sentence at Leavenworth, no parole. She'd given up the network, named names, provided bank accounts, burned it all down in exchange for her life. Captain David Park received a commendation, promoted to major, assigned to Langley for debriefing. His 8 months undercover had yielded intelligence that would take years to process. Colonel James Mitchell retired. No ceremony, no speech, just walked away from 30 years of service. He'd told William he was tired, that some wars you can't win with bullets, that he'd done what he could, that it was time for the next generation. Sarah stood at the shooting range behind the house, Remington 700 on the bench beside her, the walnut stock warm in the afternoon sun. William approached, handed her coffee. Mitchell called, he said to tell you thanks. For what? For trusting him when it mattered. Sarah sipped her coffee. Did I trust him? William smiled. You verified, you questioned, you demanded proof, then you acted. That's not blind trust, that's wisdom. They stood in comfortable silence. FBI offered me a position, Sarah said. Counterterrorism division, civilian work. You going to take it? Thinking about it, she looked at the rifle. But I'll miss this. The shooting, the clarity, point aim squeeze, clean result. No politics, no gray area. William picked up the Remington. Want to make it interesting? What did you have in mind? He pointed down range. 1,200 yards. Elk target. Loser buys dinner. Sarah smiled. First real smile in weeks. You're on. She took position. Prone. The rifle felt like coming home. Wind, temperature, distance. All the variables she could measure and control. Her breathing slowed. William watched through the spotting scope. Wind's the same as when this started. Some things don't change, Sarah murmured. And some things do. You're not the same person who left here 2 months ago. No, I'm not. She dialed the adjustments. The same calculations as that morning 2 months ago. 11.5 MOA up. 2.3 left. Muscle memory from a different lifetime. But everything was different. She'd walked through fire, through betrayal, through choices that had no good answers. She'd learned that sometimes the people you trust most are the ones who use you, that sometimes the enemy wears the same uniform, that sometimes doing the right thing means breaking every rule. She'd learned that war wasn't clean, that justice wasn't simple. That honor was something you had to define for yourself. She squeezed the trigger. The Remington spoke. 1,200 yards away, the target rang. Dead center. Perfect shot. "That's my girl," William said. They shot together until sunset, father and daughter, teacher and student. Two warriors finding peace in the rhythm of breathing and trigger press. As darkness fell, they walked back to the house. Sarah looked back at the range, at the targets standing silent in the gathering dusk. Some battles were fought with bullets, some with words, some with trust. She'd won them all, and in winning she'd found something more important than vengeance or justice or truth. She'd found out who she was. Not her father's daughter, though she was that too. Not Maya's student, though she carried those lessons. Not Mitchell's weapon, though she'd served that purpose. Just Sarah Chen, operator, soldier, warrior. Someone who'd looked into the darkness and didn't blink, who'd faced betrayal and didn't break, who'd made the hard choices and lived with them. Someone who knew that the world wasn't black and white, that good people sometimes did bad things for good reasons, that bad people sometimes believed they were right. Someone who understood that the only thing you could control was yourself, your choices, your actions, your honor. The rest was noise. Inside the house, William poured them both whiskey. They sat by the fire, watching the flames, not talking, not needing to. "You all right?" William asked. "Yeah, Dad, I'm all right." And for the first time in months, it was true. They sat by the fire until it burned down to embers. Then they went to bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new choices, new battles. But tonight they had peace. And sometimes for warriors that was enough. The stars wheeled overhead. The mountains stood eternal. The wind whispered through the pines. And in a house in Montana, a father and daughter slept. Safe, home, together. The mission was over. The war continued. But Sarah Chen had learned how to fight it. On her terms, with her honor intact. And that made all the difference.